by any other name still smell as sweet? I mention that for a few reasons. First of all, you sound pretty smart when you quote William Shakespeare, and that automatically leaves a little gravitas in the proceedings. And then there's the fact that Shaquille O'Neal has probably had... Shaquille O'Neal has probably had as many nicknames as any other player in the Hall of Fame this side of Earl the Pearl Monroe, who also went by a few, including Thomas Edison, for all the moves he invented. He was also known as Black Jesus. But unlike Monroe, Shaq has shown creativity and imagination by coming up with all of his own nicknames. He has called himself Shaq Daddy, Shaq Diesel, Shaq Food. His brilliant dance moves earned him the Big Baryshnikov. He was the Big Cactus or the Big Shactus while he was in Phoenix. He was the Big Leprechaun or the Big Shamrock while he was in Boston. And he called himself the Big Aristotle because the original inspired him with the following. Excellence is not a singular act, it's a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. Now, one of my personal favorites has always been chocolate chamberneezy. And it was an ode to two players O'Neal brought to mind with extraordinary power and strength. Daryl Chocolate Thunder Dawkins and the Big Dipper Wilt Chamberlain. Chocolate chamberneezy. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, Superman, Shaquille O'Neal.
He does it all. He is the complete package. So many moves, so much power. It's like a man against boys here tonight.
He will punish you. He's the most dominant player in the game.
Hello, everybody. Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal captured the imagination of the basketball world with overwhelming power and unique athleticism for a man of his stature. Becoming a two-time consensus first-team All-American at Louisiana State University.
Every year at LSU, he got better. He didn't want to be good, he wanted to be great.
But as impressive as he was in college, when O'Neal hit the NBA in the fall of 1992, he would embark on a mission to become one of the most dominant forces ever to play the game.
When Shaq came into the league, he had such a great passion and enthusiasm for the game. With his size and strength and mobility, it was something we really hadn't seen.
O'Neal runs the floor, takes it all the way.
He's huge, he's menacing. He really just attacked the rim.
Shaquille was impressed with that one. Oh, what a dunk.
After collecting the Rookie of the Year award in 1993, Shaq would win the first of two scoring titles 2 years later while carrying the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals and establishing himself as one of the most engaging personalities the league has ever seen.
He really just took the league by storm, but he did it in Shaquille O'Neal style. He was just as big off the court as he was on the court, and when he went from Orlando to the Lakers, LA just loved him.
The more bigger I get strong, and the more stronger I get, nobody can stop me. He's this funny, jovial guy, but in between those lines, he's not playing around.
Shaquille, fadeaway.
He played with such a viciousness. I've watched him put centers to shame.
Shaq brought a whole different element to basketball. He was going to be the dominant initial force that we had. He took on the mantle of, we have to win, now's the time to win.
Kobe on the move. Loud throw.
The 15-time All-Star would be named the league's most valuable player in 2000. The same year, he won the first of 3 straight championships and 3 NBA Finals MVP awards.
A three-peat for the world champion Los Angeles Lakers.
He put LA back on the map. He brought that belief back to Los Angeles that we're playing for titles and nothing else.
Shaq the man, most dominant player in the world.
Shaquille is one of the great Lakers of all time. Over a 10-year period, he was the best center in the league. That is absolutely a mark of greatness.
Upon moving on to Miami, the 7th leading scorer in league history added to his resume with a 4th NBA title in 2006.
The history of big men is right in that handful of greatest centers ever.
To win the championships that he's won, the long career, the impact that he has had on the game.
Most physically dominant player ever to play this game.
There'll never be anybody like Shaquille O'Neal, ever. It won't even be close.
I'd like to thank these wonderful gentlemen for bringing me in. The Hall of Fame committee asked me to choose one, but as all the coaches know that have coached me, I'm not good at listening to rules. So I picked 4. You know, these 4 have done so much for me. Lonzo Mourning, harsh nemesis turned great friend. We both entered the league together in 1992. Had fierce battles together as he dunked on me, I dunked on him. Then in 2006, we joined forces together to win his first and my 4th title for the Miami Heat. Thank you, so good and no legend. Isaiah Thomas was a man who pulled me aside one day at the All-Star game and explained to me how a team leader was supposed to carry himself. We now work together, we're friends, he's a business mentor. Thank you very much, Mr. Isaiah. Bill Russell, give it up to the greatest big man of the world. When I first met Mr. Russell, we talked for about 3 hours. We talked about his life, his game, and what he had to endure as a player. I realized then that I should never complain about anything. Mr. Russell, it means a lot to me that you would honor me on this day with your presence. Thank you, sir. And last but not least, Julius Dr. J. Irvin. Hey, I know he's your guy, and yeah, he's your guy, but he's really my guy. I always dreamed of being as good as Dr. J. I used to dream about this man so much that one time he broke into my college dorm room and woke me up. I thought I was dead. And a good-looking brother man put his hand on my chest. I was like, God? I was like, Doc, how the hell you get in my room, bro? I dreamed about this man so much, he moved next door to my parents in Orlando. I dreamed about the doc so much that he answered the phone when I needed basketball advice. And now my idol walked me into the Hall of Fame. Thank you, brother. The great Jim Bombano once said, the greatest gift anyone can give another person is believing in them. So I'd like to start by saying thank you to those who first believed in me. My first thank you goes to my beautiful mother, Lucille O'Neal. We started off alone together in Newark, New Jersey, with you being a single mom. My first recollection was of you fighting with the bus driver because he believed He refused to believe that a 2-year-old could be this big. But I also remember you ultimately convincing him with that right cross. Mama said, knock you out. And him holding his hand over his right eye, agreeing, saying, yes, ma'am, kids 2 and under do right for free. I apologize. Though we were alone, family was never too far away. My great-grandmother, Silla O'Neill, grandmother, Odessa Chavlis, Uncle Roy, Aunt Vivi, Aunt Velma. Because of the love and generosity of the family, Mom and I always had a place to lay our heads, and a place where I was able to have my favorite food, which happens to be everything. Then one day, while working at City Hall, Mom met the man who would become the biggest male influence in my life, Sergeant Philip Arthur Harrison. My father, Sergeant Philip Harrison, was a disciplinarian. He was firm but fair. It was my first exposure on how an effective leader operated. And when I didn't listen, I was introduced to his alter ego, affectionately known as the Belt. He was a student of the game. It's because of him I was introduced to the game and developed a love for basketball. He realized that I was going to be a big guy. So I remember he made me memorize 3 names and he would quiz me on them. In his eyes, these 3 guys were gods of the game. Bill Russell, give it up. Wilt Chamberlain, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Bill, again, I'm honored that you was able to walk me in. And I know that Wilt and my father are in heaven smiling down upon us. And if I know my father, he's up there arguing with Wilt Chamberlain right now, trying to convince Wilt that his son is the most dominant big man ever. My first exposure to leadership was when I was given babysitting duties while Mom and Dad worked and having to corral my brothers and sisters. In a way, this is where I led my first corporation. My sister Latifah was my VP of dishes. My sister Aisha was the chief operating officer of bed making. And my brother Jamal was my director of leaves. They would always report to me as I would be in deep thought, eating bologna sandwiches and watching General Hospital. Luke and Laura forever, by the way. But seriously, guys, love you. Thanks for always being there and being part of this enjoyable ride. I can remember the day that gave me great anxiety was when we left Newark, New Jersey, and we ended up in Wildflecken, West Germany. It was really here that started a series of events that would help create the character known as Shaq. It's important to know that my roots started untraditionally, with no fanfare. As a matter of fact, I was cut by my coach freshman and sophomore year. And I thought about giving it up, could have all ended there, but there were 3 people who would change the direction of my life. Ford McMurtry. Ford, where are you? White guy back there. Ford McMurtry was my first official coach. We had a travel team similar to the AAU. And what I loved about Ford is he saw something in me that others didn't. He gave me the freedom to emulate my favorite player, Dr. J. Yes, people, I was a 6'9" guard. I watched the fish that saved Pittsburgh 50 times. I knew all his moves. Next there is Iceman, known as George Gervin, with Chris Woodard. Chris, where are you? Stand up, Chris. Chris was a 6'7" Army-based legend. His Gervin-like moves earned him the nickname Ice. When others didn't pick this scrawny 6'9" kid, me, who couldn't play, who couldn't dunk, it was Iceman who would not only pick me, but push me to hone my skills and pursue my dream of becoming an NBA player. Thank you, Ice. And last but not least, Daddy Dale Brown. My father came in the house one day and I was sitting on the couch, feet stinking, and he just came and threw the paper. Get your ass up, there's a college coach up there, he might get a scholarship, come listen to him talk. I was 6'9", 6'10", couldn't play, definitely wasn't going to college. So I get up there, but before I go up there, I'm like, I'm talking to a college coach. Let me go in this dictionary and pull out a big word. So the word I chose was extremities. Coach Brown is talking, and he gets done with the speech, and I go up to him. I said, Coach, hi, my name is Shaquille O'Neal, sir. Can you send me a program to strengthen my lower extremities? Coach Brown looked at me and he said, sure, how long you been in the Army, soldier? I said, I'm not in the Army, I'm only 13. What? Where's your father? I was like, he's in the song. I want to offer you a scholarship right now. And he offered me a scholarship on that day. Coach, thank you. But before I made my mark at LSU, my family and I would leave West Germany and move to San Antonio, Texas, where I would attend high school. It was here where I was given my first nickname. Coach Joel Smith and David Maduro would lovingly refer to me as Big Old Son Bitch. They would find, true story, they would find unique and wonderful ways to express their love. For example, Coach, I need some shoes. I can't afford no size 18, you big old son bitch. Coach, what time was the game? I don't know, but you big old son bitch making 40 points in 22. When we won the state title in 1989 with an impressive 36-0 record, they both called me and said, you big old son bitch. I knew you can do it, big old son bitch. I actually thought my name was Big Old Son Bitch. I remember one time the announcers, 7-1 from San Antonio, Texas, Shaquille O'Neal. That's a big son bitch. That's a big old son bitch. Excuse my language, children. It's also here where I realized the cliche is true. There is no I in team. Couldn't have done it without Doug and Dan Sandberg, Joe Cavallero, Darren Matthew, Rob Dunn, Eric Baker, Dwayne Cyrus, just to name a few. And then it was time for college. And as I mentioned before, I didn't choose LSU, LSU chose me. There was no way I was letting down Coach Brown. But once again, it was time to eat a big slice of humble pie, as I played behind two of the greatest players ever to grace LSU history, Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Stanley Roberts. These guys set the bar high. I knew what I had to do to get to that level. It's funny, but one of my motivations was to hear what Dick Vitale would have to say about me. And that day would happen, December 1990, LSU versus Arizona. Dick Vitale comes in the locker room and gives a scintillating speech. I don't know what scintillating means. He uses it, so I'm using it. Versus Arizona, gives us a speech, and then he pulls me to the side and says, Shaq, they got Chris Mills, they got Brian Williams, they got Sean Rooks, they're ranked number 2. I might not win, but have a good game. And in my mind, I'm saying to myself, thanks, Dick. Thanks a lot, Dick. But it was at that moment where I realized I could create my own destiny. Thanks to Mr. Vitale, I ended up with 28 points, 19 rebounds, and I don't think he realized how much he motivated me and pissed me off at the same time. I do want to thank the people in Louisiana, Mr. and Mrs. Mallett, Poonie and Dane, Gino, my favorite restaurant, Webb's Barbershop, Sean and Bud Connors, and the rest of the family. Because I heard Mr. Vitale say that when Shaquille O'Neal decides to leave LSU, he will be the #1 pick. Made me comfortable in trying my luck in the NBA. I'd like to thank the DeVos family and Orlando Magic for drafting me in 1992. I'd like to thank Dennis Scott, who showed me what it was to be a professional. I'd like to thank Penny Hardaway. We had some impressive years. I'd like to thank Nick Anderson for missing those 4 free throws in a row. I'm just playing, Nick. But when I was writing this speech, I was like, you know what? It'd be pretty funny if a terrible free throw shooter criticized the basket. And then I said to myself, damn, I should have listened to Rick Barry. And then I also said to myself, you know what? I'd rather be a terrible free throw shooter that in about 15 minutes will be in the Hall of Fame. So Rick, thanks, but no thanks. Too damn big to be shooting underhanded. After Orlando, I ended up in LA. Shazam 2 is not yet in production. What was in production was the beginning of a new Laker dynasty. First few years were not easy, filled with trials and tribulations. Jerry West and the Buss family and their objective of rebuilding the dynasty knew exactly what to do. Bring in the Zen Master Phil Jackson. Many may not know this, but Phil always made us meditate in a room filled with sage. Scotty knows what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know what sage is, but I know what it smells like. So one day I'm sitting in a room, me, GP, and Kobe. I've never been high before, but if this is high, I think I was it. So I'm sitting there and finally have a conversation with Phil. I said, Phil, come on now. And Phil says, it's not, it's the cousin of cannabis. So I said, okay, Phil, whatever that means. So starting today, Phil and I will be opening medicinal sage dispensaries. We're going to be like this. I'd like to thank Big Shot Bob, Brian Shaw, Rick Fox, Lawrence Bryant, Tyronn Lue, Devin George, Gary Vitti, Mike Penberthy, Dale Harris, Miss Rambus, Miss Buss, and last but not least, the great Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, a guy that would push me and help me win 3 titles in a row. He also helped me get pushed off the team and traded to Miami. When I was in Miami, where 2 of my favorite people helped me obtain my 4th championship, Pat Riley and D. Wade. I'd be remiss if I didn't name other key players. James Posey, Jason Williams, Antoine Walker, Hall of Famer Gary Payton, Tampa Gate. Udonis Haslem, Hall of Famer Alonzo Mourning. Miami Beach will always be one of my favorite cities. I'd like to thank the Harrison family, Don DeLuca and family, Miami Beach PD, Doral Police Department, Mono Ramos, Steve and Henry, Prime 112, Dr. Cobb, and Barry University. Then after Miami, I played in Phoenix. I'd like to thank Steve Kerr. He was the first general manager to actually call me and say I was being traded. All the other times I found out because of loud ass Stephen A. Smith on the Thank Mike D'Antoni, Steve Nash, Maury Stoudemire, Phoenix training staff, and my neighbor in Florida, Grant Hill. After Phoenix, I played with McKinney and Cleveland. After that, I went to Boston and played with 3 future Hall of Famers. Paul the Truth Pierce. Champion Big Ticket Garnett. Greatest shoes of all time, Ray Allen. So it's been quite a career, and nowadays what motivates me is applying the life lesson that I learned from my parents so long ago. I learned to be giving. Happy to say that my mom and I are approaching our 25th year of Shaq Claus. I don't know what Shaq Claus is. I put on a Santa Claus thing and I go around and I pass out toys. approaching our 25th year of Shaq's Giving. So we go to homeless shelters and feed them what we would eat on Thanksgiving. You know, Gary, fried chicken, macaroni, throw some cornbread on that thing, some iced tea, some collard greens. Happy to say that I built the state-of-the-art movie theaters in a low-income area where I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. I also learned to work hard, but not to take myself too seriously. Like sitting in the Buick, I knew I couldn't fit in. Hey, they paid me $3 million, which would be sad. Overall, I've done my best to be a good role model to the youth and to those who will look up to me. My message to the youth has always been the same. Never give up, work hard, and continue to learn. Not only do I talk the talk, I try and walk the walk. I left LSU in 1992. 2000, I received my bachelor's, so my mom said she was going to whip me. Mama had an alter ego too, and the name was Bigger Belt. 2004, I received my MBA. In 2012, I received my doctorate in education. Speaking of the youth, I have 6 wonderful children. 3 daughters. My oldest, Tahira, stand up, baby. Stand up. This is my oldest girl. She doesn't know this yet, but after she graduates from college, she will be attending law school. Amira, Mimi, stand up, baby. Amira, who loves volleyball and basketball, I think you should choose LSU. Your daddy knows some people I can make a call for. When I go to Mimi's volleyball games, the parents hate me because I be telling them, spike it in their face, baby. I want all this bloody right here, spike it in their face. My youngest baby, Miara, stand up, baby. I don't like to put pressure on my babies, but she works out with my sons, and I think it's fair to say that one day, if she continues, Miara will probably be the best women's basketball player ever. Then I have 3 boys. Miles, stand up. Miles doesn't know this, but after college, he will also be attending law school. Yes, you are. Already paid for it, cuz. Already paid. Then there's Sharif. Stand up, Sharif. My son Sharif is already one of the top high school juniors in the country, and I hope to see you up here one day, son. And last but not least, my twin, Shakir O'Neal.